Hello, guys. Welcome to Banter Blitz. I'm really sorry that I was not able to deliver a training Tuesday as it was promised. So sorry for that. Had some stuff on my way. But today, depending on where you are, we're going to blitz a bit as usual. Just play several games, maybe learn something new. Let's see how it goes. And just as usual, will be very helpful if you could drop me a message saying how it looks on your end. Can you see me? Can you hear me? And so forth. And I'm going to start just in a second. Olaf says, all okay. Great. So here we go. As usual, I'm going to start with some challenges coming from guys I've never played before. So let's see if we have somebody of this kind. So lots of good old friends. That's nice. I'm really happy you are actually following my shows, each and every one. And here is one guy from Greece we never played before, so I'll accept this challenge to start with. And I'm playing with white pieces, which is nice. So, and Sicilian. This is amazing. E6, knight takes d4, knight goes to c6, knight goes to c3. So what is next? Queen to c7. All right. One of very popular lines here, and I usually react with this sort of setup. So I'm occupying the center with my pawns, then I'm trying to control the situation here, complete the development, and the idea is just to organize the attack on the king side at some point. Castling. Black will probably castle as well. No, h5. That's interesting. So, what's going on here? Well, I have no idea, but I think king h1 will be not so bad. So, going away from this diagonal a7 g1, on g1 my king was quite vulnerable. So different checks, for example, queen b6 or bishop c5. Queen b6 immediately was not that dangerous, so king goes to h1, and if queen takes on b2, well, there may be something dangerous against that guy. After something like rook b1, maybe. Maybe just a straightforward play in the center, like e5, f5, and so on. Now it's a bit different. I'm not quite sure what black is going to achieve here. Like, f2 is protected, h2 is protected, e3 is protected, everything is protected right now. So should we just centralize our pieces, like to play rook a to e1, which is quite standard for these positions? Yeah, let's try it. I mean, I don't see a threat immediately, so... Bishop to b7. Now it's very tempting to play f5, but then queen h2 checkmate. So what if we start with h3 move? Does it create a threat? It's a good question. Because after h3, what is next? I'm not quite sure. Another idea, very typical one for this position, is just to play knight to a4 and then c4, exerting more pressure in the center. And I think it can be interesting. So if black plays c5, I can meet it with a c4, just stopping everything there. On the other hand, since the king is still in the center, after c5 I may consider, like, e takes d5 first. And then we'll see. There's a question, is it a bluff? I think it's about black's play here. Well, I'm not sure. It's a bluff. I mean, most likely I cannot play h3, h takes g4. But on the other hand, I'm not quite getting what the knight is doing there on g4, at least right now. There are no threats. And black is having a problem with castling here because it's not clear where to go. g5. Wow. Well, probably it's something logical. But isn't it that dangerous? I don't know. So how to react? Just continue with the c4, attacking in the center, or just e5? After g takes f4, bishop takes f4. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to play e5 because it leaves d5 completely safe, no longer attacked, and I want to keep this pressure. On the other hand, after g takes f4, bishop f4, there's e5. In which case, I will just step back to g3. All right, let's try c4. I don't know. Excuse me. In general, I think that this complications in the center, opening the position should be good for white because white is better developed and hence better prepared for this sort of play. But I would lie if said that I understand everything here and everything is clear to me. I have no idea. Let's see. So g takes f4, let's try to calculate something. Bishop takes f4, and if e5 then bishop g3, I think it's okay. I'm not even forced to go to g3, I can go somewhere else. It's not a big deal. And dc4 is quite strange. That is a great help. Now c5, okay. Position is getting more and more open. Let's relocate the knight. I understand that bishop c3 was probably a bit better, but knight c3 also looks not that bad. Now we have some additional plans, like to play e5, then knight to e4, then somewhere to d6 or f6. Should be extremely dangerous for black. And, well, so to take then to play e5, or just to play e5 instantly? Which move is better? I guess instant e5 should be just great. If I'm not missing something, but it's just a tempo move. Queen remains passive there, which was not the case after bishop d6, queen d6. And then after e5, something like queen d4, maybe it was still good for white, I don't know. But this position looks great after knight e4. Again, if I'm not missing something. So knight e4, knight takes e5. Is it possible for black to play like that? Like knight jumps somewhere to g5? Yeah, it should be lost. Should be just lost. So let's go there. And if bishop e4, then queen e4, I'm happy to have that position. With pair of bishops completely, almost completely open. No threats to my king. Looks great. And if black doesn't take, then something like knight d6 is coming. Alright. Knight e5, alright. So here I wanted to jump here to g5 with the knight. Attacking knight on e5. 3 times with the bishop, with the queen, with the rook. Knight is pinned. If bishop takes g5, then bishop takes c5, attacking the queen and the rook on h8. That was the initial idea. And after bishop d6, I can just take, right? And take one more time. And one more time. And something like h4, let's say. All right, now I can take with check and checkmate here. All right, so not that bad for the very first game today. So it's really hard to say what was the decisive mistake. Probably dc4 was already quite bad, so I think black should have tried to close the position, to keep it as closed as possible. So maybe g5 was already not so good. So instead of playing g5, probably something like c5 deserved attention. But in that case, as I said during the game, I wanted to capture in d5 first. ed5 is very dangerous, just to open up the e file when your king is on the 8. Should be equal to committing a suicide or something. But if you take with the bishop on d5, then you have a worse pawn structure here. And I still have a possibility to continue with the attack based on f5 at some point, because now f5 is not possible. Still not possible. Maybe I would have played something like c4, and after bishop c6, something like bishop to e4. Maybe. Pinning the bishop in a very nice way. So if bishop a4, then bishop takes a8. And if bishop takes on e4, then queen takes e4. This is sort of good position for white. But I think it's still absolutely playable. So, for example, here, black can castle. Knight can go back to f6 whenever it is attacked. So it's absolutely unclear. Maybe c5 deserved attention here, not g5. After g5, you have no way back. So you will no longer castle short. Castling long is also impossible having this pawn structure. So your king will remain in the center. And if I manage to open up a position, well, it will be very hard to protect it. But here, dc4, I think, is a very bad move. Because after bishop takes c4, well, you have a bad pawn structure now. Your weaknesses are accessible, I mean long term. And now position becomes more and more open. That's what I think. As for the general idea of playing h5 and knight g4, I'm not sure. So, I don't know. Normally, black just castles here. Normally, black just castles and plays it with castling. Yeah, I know there are some options of playing e5, then attacking h7, but usually black is in time to protect the king there and tries to leverage his presence in the center here, just to play c5, d4, c4, something like that. So that's the general plan. All right, anyway, thank you for the game, and let's go further. So is there anybody I've never played before? So probably... No, Mr. Normal Name, we have played already, so let's see somebody else is here. Yeah, the guy from Hungary, accept. And still with white pieces, which is nice, just e4. e6, French defense. All right, will be harder, I guess. It's always kind of pain play against French defense. I don't know why. Many people like it. Some people like it more from black's perspective. Some people like it more from white's perspective. It's very complicated opening, offering chances to both sides. And I think there will be knight takes b4, right? No, queen to c7. Okay, so now let me remember. So bishop takes d4 is played here, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe knight takes d4. I don't remember, which is just a shame for international master, I know, but I really don't remember. So what's the right move here? I think we should take with the bishop here. I may be wrong. So at least there is no b5 immediately, so I didn't blunder something. Yeah, but I think knight takes d4 the right move. Okay. I just gave up a bishop for nothing here. So I made a mistake, for which I usually criticize my students a lot. Okay. Happens to everybody. All right, now c3 should be protected. Probably rook c1 was a better move, but anyway, I think black is going to play b5. Where after it will be not possible to play c4. And I thought it would be helpful to have the rook on a1 here, because in many cases, in such a pawn structure, it's a good idea to try a4. Should I play it right now? That's a good question. So what about a4 right now? Just undermining the pawn, creating a direct threat of just taking it twice. If b takes a4, then knight takes a4. Should be kind of a slightly better pawn structure. Right? Right. So takes. Okay. a6 is under pressure now. We can put the rook on a5 a bit later. Bishop on d3, castling. Very pleasant position, to be honest. I believe I'm probably missing something. Some important resource here, but I don't see which one exactly. For now, position looks good. The question is black going to play g5 next move? Undermining my f4 pawn. This may be something that black can try. Can I play bishop b5 check now? If a b5, then rook a8. If bishop d7, then I can take on a6 with the rook, winning the pawn. But then rook a6, bishop a6, and like queen a7. I can protect that bishop with the queen. I think it will be a pawn up as a result. And if king goes away, then we just castle. Let's try it. I mean, I'm not sure completely it is the best option. But again, if I'm not missing something stupid, I guess it's much better than playing bishop d3 or something. Okay, so here I wanted to take this way. Attacking the rook. My bishop is anyway protected by my knight, so... Oh, that was planned. Okay, but now I'm just a pawn up. Right? Or not? So let's see. Takes a8, takes a8, takes d7 is not possible because of rook a1 check. But takes a8, takes a8, castling is possible. Bishop b5, knight b5, queen b6 check, knight back to d4. Looks like extra pawn. Maybe I should just castle immediately here and force black to take on b5. I don't know. Let's try this. And now just knight takes b5, right? That is what I planned, at least. No checks here. Queen is under attack. So next move, we're going to take on a8 and go back to d4. A little difference compared to rook a8 and castling immediately is that in that line, black could have captured on b5 and queen b6 was check. Here, queen goes away without check, I hope. But is it better for me? I'm not sure. Probably it's not better for me. Because look, rook can go to a2 in this case. That is what I missed. Alright. There could have been a transposition anyway. I may be even worse here, you know? What should I do? Just knight e6 instead of knight e4. Because I believe that knight e4 will be quite bad. So knight e4, rook a2, queen goes to e3. Hell, I don't know. So, on the other hand, knight e4, rook a2, queen e3, rook a3, let's say. c3 is hanging, pawn on b4 is hanging. Yeah, it's quite annoying, so let's go there. At least creating a passer which will deflect black's attention. Maybe we'll even force black back with the queen, which will give me a chance to centralize my queen. And after rook a2, I have some No, I don't have queen d4, I think, because of queen e2. Alright, but here I do have queen d4. I guess rook a6 is too passive. Rook a2 is interesting. Oh, in that case I could have played d7. Yeah, that is what I missed. That was a nice possibility. After rook a2. So, well, maybe overall our position is not that bad. So yeah, we're losing the pawn. I mean, giving it back to black. But if black takes my queen, cd4, rook d6, then I just play rook to b1, putting the rook behind the pawn, and it's gonna be good for white. Alright, now running with the king, quickly, somewhere, I don't know where. Probably just closer to the pawn. Okay. I think we should activate the king. Probably I'm misplaying it somehow. Yeah, most likely I am misplaying it. Yeah. So, yeah, I will most likely lose it on time. And position is no longer that great either. Yeah, I completely misplayed it, my goodness. Yeah, nice. Now this position is no longer lost for white at least, but on time I'm just losing it for sure. Yeah, it's a draw. Well, I was lucky. I was lucky. I was just dead lost on time and yeah, somehow managed to save it. What a bad game. First of all, I think bishop d4 was now correct, but I just don't remember. I just don't remember what is the right move there. Well, it indicates my poor shape now, poor form, because many years ago, even when I was a kid, I knew perfectly what to do here with white pieces. Most likely knight d4 is just a correct correct play, correct move, sorry. I was just reading the chat, and there was great play, Andrey. Okay, but anyways, I think I got, well, pretty good position here. And maybe, it was a better choice for me just to take on d7, or maybe just to castle here. I don't know. Let's say takes d7, something like rook to a3. No, rook to a3, there is a5. Rook a5, b5, anyway, not clear. No, I think I was right to take that pawn. So I captured that pawn. Everything was okay. I have a feeling that something like queen d4 is not correct. What if I played d7 here? What black is going to do here? Just rook d6 or rook a8? Probably queen c7. But in case of queen c7, I think I can get what I want, basically. So, active position. Maybe even something like f5 deserves attention here with the idea of f6. like starting play on the other side of the board because black's pieces are far away. This looks very interesting for white. I mean, very promising. Because if e takes f5, then there is queen d5. This should be probably winning for white instantly. But if queen takes d7, something like f6 looks also quite interesting because king is gonna be open now. Yeah, probably something like d7. Just d7. I thought that this ending would be very simple to play, but I was wrong. Probably b5 was just not the right decision. I should have probably played quick king f2. Let's say if black is doing the same here, just hurrying up towards the center. I can play this, but then there is the same problem. So check, and then rook c4. Yeah, still not good for white. Yeah, so maybe the pawn on d4 is making this position an exception from a classic case when you have very active rook. Maybe rook b1 is already a mistake. So probably I should have started with something like rook to c1, creating a checkmate threat. Then to bring my rook somewhere to 5th rank or something, and then bring the king over. I don't know. Deserves additional analysis. Latvian Gambit says b5 is totally correct, so maybe I missed the point somewhere later. But I didn't see how to bring my king. I didn't see how to bring my king there. Maybe I should have played just on the king side altogether, just pushing pawns there. But black has a majority there. Anyway, it's quite hard to organize a breakthrough or something. Maybe here, not king c3, but rook b4 first. Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. So king a5 was not correct. Latvian Gambit says. Yeah, but where to go? If not king a5, then where? King a3? Then king c7, blockading the pawn. I don't see how to make a progress there in this position. Anyways, thanks for the game. It was interesting. Let's have a look if we have somebody else I've never played before. Yeah. Accept. And white pieces still. Well, it's good. And Scandinavian is going to be fun. I wanted to say, but black decided to play knight to f6. It's not going to be fun. Okay, what if we play this? I know it's probably not the best possible idea, but I don't care. Let's try that. I mean, I know it's good for black. Black has no problems already. But I'm just trying to go away from sort of main theoretic line to see black actually playing the game. Not sort of replicating the home preparation or something. G6, wow. That's something I didn't expect for sure. Okay, let's try this active move with the bishop. If black really puts the bishop on g7, I think my plan could be Just a straightforward attack. G4, Queen D2, castling lawn, and attacking the king. Because why not? Yeah. So bishop is passive now. That's why I think G6 was a mistake. So black bishop was quite good on F5, right? It was interesting for black to try something just to save the bishop in that diagonal. At least to force me to play something like bishop D3 a bit later to exchange it. So maybe something opposite, like H6, not G6, to have H7 square, for example. Okay, now we have opposite side castlings. B6. Again, B6 is better when your bishop is on F8, not on G7. It's more efficient, I suppose. Now I don't see a threat, so let's go. Let's just go and checkmate. That's my simple plan here. Okay, this pawn should be captured. It also gives me another object of attack now on the D file. It's D5. And D4. Interesting. I sort of didn't look there at all. Knight to B5, bishop B5 should be just fine. But then knight goes to D5. Yeah, it's a good square for the knight. Sorry, I didn't see this resource in advance. So queen takes D4. What's going on there? Knight jumping somewhere to G4 maybe. Then what? Queen goes to E4. Let's say no, it doesn't look good at all. Let's just go to B5. Yeah, this knight on D5 is quite good. No questions. There should be still something on the king side. Something dangerous, I mean, for black. So let's try to execute this idea. Bishop H6. Want to exchange bishops. Where after this D4 will be much more vulnerable. And at the same time, this will weaken the position of the king. Queen E7. That's strange. Okay, let's take the bishop. Oh, Queen C5. God, I'm just blundering one move after another. That's fantastic. But I don't think I had anything better anyway than taking that bishop. There was no good chance for me to protect C5 anyway, so alright. Now the thing is, we are exchanging queens. That's probably not so bad for white, because we still have a bishop. Against the knight, we have pawns on different flanks, on both flanks. And we have a better pawn structure. So it's not going to be that simple ending for black. I want to hope at least. The only problem is our development. We have to finish it somehow rather quickly. Bring another rook to c file, let's say, would be very nice. Okay, that goes back to f6. Now, where to go with our knight? What is the natural position? I think f4 should be a good square. We can get there through h3, through e2. Let's go there through h3. Doesn't matter, I think, how to get there. The point is just to get there. And if I'm not mistaken, knight e7 is just losing the knight. Oh, not the knight, but just the pawn. Because knight d5 is still possible. My god, what am I talking about today? But anyway, it's just a material advantage, right? At least something, so it looks like an achievement. Now where to put this rook? I think d4 is a good position, restricting that knight a bit. Okay, now let's move the knight to f4. Because in h3 it looks very ugly. And I have a feeling that even here we may think of attack after h5 at some point. But I think it's much better to start with the activation of the rook. Now it's a good question, what to do with this c1 square? Because I want to put my rook on e7, right? That's my idea here. If black goes away from the back rank, I may think of rook e8 as well. My king should be relocated to either a2 or b2. So I'm thinking of b3 or a3. I think a3 is the right move. I might be wrong, but okay. Let's try it. Looks a bit safer than anything else. Now rook to e7 should be possible. Knight to e5, just knight to e6 check. Okay, feels like a winning position now. Takes there. And both rooks to the back rank, right? Yeah. Should be lost for black. Well, it was a very interesting game. By the way, black found several interesting resources. This d4 was great. I didn't see that. Then this queen e7, very interesting move. So I automatically take to have taken on g7 with the idea of queen d4 check, but miss queen c5 completely. So nice trick, by the way. And if I don't do anything right now, then you can take on h6 and play queen to e3. The problem is that this position is still not so good for black, right? So this ending is better for white for sure. And I explained why. Because we have a better pawn structure, we have a bishop, and bishop is usually good in the open position, having objects of attack, especially when pawns are on both flanks, because bishop can be placed somewhere to attack both sides, while the knight can be just, you know, on one of the sides, and hence it's less flexible in such a position. Moreover, here black's knights don't have strong points, don't have outposts, so bishop is much better in this situation. Alright, so what was the mistake? I still believe that g6 looks very odd. Instead of playing g6, I would have considered immediate b6, just undermining c5, attacking it. When the bishop is on f8, it's much more efficient attack because it forces me to do something just right now. And if I play b4, you just play a5. That's the thing here. And I guess black may be even better in this situation because this line is definitely not good for white. I knew that, but, well, I was bluffing a bit. Alright, thanks for the game, and let's get back to normal order of challenges. So here is Johan Wilhelm Mobius. 3+2. And I'm playing with black pieces this time. Okay. And here we go. a6, knight goes to f6. Castling, bishop goes to e7. So Ruy Lopez, basically. And the main line, main direction. Smyslov variation. The idea is to cover g5 square, to play a rook e8. Be not afraid of knight g5 jump, attacking f7. Now the typical trick, I cannot take on d4 and then on e4 because of bishop d5. So first the knight should be protected. And white has protected e4 as well. Now let's try to improve this knight and undermine the center with the c5. Alright. Now we should go to c4. Before, white played b3. After a4, as far as I remember, there is a nice try just to go back. The point is, b3 became weak, well, weakened, and we can use it, potentially. Okay. So, let's go to c7 to connect rooks to each other. Oh no, knight a5 was just stupid. In fact, it was necessary to go to b6 to provoke a5 and then to go back to c4, attacking a5 and after b4, cb4. Again, I'm just confused 2 lines. Quite typical for me nowadays. Now white is better, obviously. Maybe not after this move. I don't think that queen e2 is good. Normally I would suggest something like queen d2. Oh, maybe it's still okay. Yeah. So let's try this move. I mean, bishop has nothing to do there anymore. So there may be an idea of bringing it to d8 and then maybe to b6 at some point. So c4, b4, that goes to b3. There is still rook a8, bishop b3, cb3, and then queen to b2. Just attacking b3. Of course, we can play rook to c8, but there is rook to c1 then. And b3 may drop rather quickly in that case. So what to do here? Just queen d8, knight b7, fighting for that file? Yeah, it may be possible, but looks terrible, in fact. Oh, goodness. Goodness. Maybe something like this. I believe it's not good. It's definitely bad. Yeah, white has just outplayed me easily, effortlessly. I have actually outplayed myself. Oh, just a terrible position. I think I have to play this move. Yeah. The worst position ever. Oh, my God. This gives me some hopes. Okay, now we have to blockade everything quickly. Right, let's just take it. Rather accidental shot. Taking on b3. I don't think it will change anything. But maybe, who knows? Rook on a1 is heading. Look at this. Takes on a6, queen a6. I'm a pawn up. I'm not checkmated yet, so probably. Oh, that was just very strange. I have just lost a piece. Can you imagine? Bishop d4 followed by d6 won the game. Alright, let's go away from there. We're just getting very dangerous. Just stay there. On that diagonal. Okay, let's go further. Hoping to queen that pawn. I know it's not realistic, but who cares? It's my only advantage in this position. That advanced pawn. So, rook b4. Attacking c4. Now attacking the bishop on e4. Alright, we're a minor piece up. And that's cool. This should be winning. We're having an increment here, so... yeah. Super luck. Super lucky guy, Andrey Ostrovskiy. Because it was lost. Everywhere. Like everywhere. So... the last moment where black could have lost the game convincingly was actually when white played queen to g4. Let me look at this moment. Yeah, knight d4 was a terrible mistake. Like bishop takes d4. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing here, I think. So d4, e4, just d6, attacking my queen and my bishop. I don't see how I'm going to survive it. Same as after ed4. It's just a huge blunder. There was also a moment a bit earlier. So for example here, I don't understand why white didn't capture on c5. I think it was possible. Just to take the pawn. I don't see a clear compensation for it. I mean, I wanted to play something like bishop b6, but that's nothing. Just bishop takes b6, so what? I don't think I have any sort of tactics here, because if my knight jumps somewhere, there's rook a6 attacking another rook. Well, even knight b3, just bishop takes b3, protecting the rook, so it doesn't work whatsoever. Maybe knight c4, rook a6, rook a6, rook a6, queen a6, okay, it just takes. Maybe with the rook on a6 just to take on d2, but there is no compensation, there is nothing. So just bishop takes c5, and I think it's going to be over very soon. So maybe the tiny chance was, I mean for me, was to take here, but, well, with all of my pieces here stuck on the queen side, I think something like e5 should be close to winning the game. Close to, maybe not winning immediately, but everything says that black's position is just terrible here. Okay, so yeah, was a good option for you to win. I think either taking on c5 or a bit later just playing d6. Okay, next one, Triakin. So Johan Wilhelm Möbius was 2700s. Now my opponent is 2800s. So we are increasing the level gradually. But taking into account my current shape, I mean, anybody can be dangerous opponent for me. White is welcome to start the game. What's going on? So we're still online. We're still live. Where is Triakin? Not responding. Okay. Really sorry for that. But here is Shelling Ford. 3049. Very nice. Very good. Let's go. Let's remember the childhood. f6. That's interesting. I've never seen this before. So he takes f6, probably. Funny thing, I don't remember what to do here. So the last time I played this line was like some sort of 20 years ago, maybe. At least 15. Giovanni says, never seen, but he will remember. Mark is entering the scene. Yeah, by the way, I have a feeling that I will have to actually finish the show earlier than planned, because there's basically something urgent happening to my son right now. So I have to take part in that thing. So c4. Okay, let's take on f6. I mean, and just bring the bishop to f4. It's a very strange version of French. I've never played this before, but it's gonna be not so bad in general. So at least I have a clear plan here. Well, let's just continue developing my pieces. Yeah, that is a problem. That is a problem. Black is somehow easily improving the position of the bishop now. What if we sacrifice a piece here for 3 pawns? Like knight c4 takes, bishop takes c4, then e6 will be under attack. It's not something that will give me complete compensation here, but I don't know. Even if I need it, so maybe bishop f1 is correct, but then bishop g6 and black is feeling very comfortable there. Let's try it. I mean, it's Blitz after all, right? Let's just try it. Of course, it would be nice to have intact pawns here on the king side for that compensation. Because now it's felt like I'm having only 2 pawns as a compensation. This king h8, I didn't expect that. So maybe we can play b5 now. What if we play b5? It's gonna be good. I mean, if black plays knight to d8, then alright. It will be very passive. Alright, bishop g6. So queen is under attack. Where should we go? To b3, there is a4. Maybe queen a4 instead. Or maybe queen a2. Or just queen to d2. Well, let's put the queen here. Having c3 protected at least. Alright, knight d8. Very passive position for the knight, but maybe it's just okay for black. Let's protect b5, just forget about it. And then probably just going away with the bishop. That's why I did that. a4 on the previous move. So we should start pushing our pawns at some point. Rook a to c1, c4, c5. That's what I wanted to try here at least. Maybe it's not a correct plan. Or do we start with this move? Yeah, at least there is no dark squared bishop anymore on the board. e6 is still weak, but we're having only 2 pawns here, right? So it shouldn't be enough. Yeah. It was not right to play like that. That is an interesting move. Okay, let's take it. Strong. Yeah, very strong. Okay. I think it's lost now. Queen h1 is coming. There is no satisfactory defense. Alright, resign. Okay. So, yeah. What to say? I was really distracted. Sorry for that. Probably one more game against Olaf. Alright, except yeah. Just bad times for me nowadays. Oops. C3 was intended, of course. Oh my god. Yeah, fantastic. So maybe we should deal with his bishop first. Let's just attack it. Not sure if it helps, of course. Let's castle now. So we have an isolated pawn, and black setup looks very solid here. Bishop is quite good on the a5, actually interfering with all the typical plans. So, I mean, something like knight to e5, let's say, is now possible here. It's hard to find a good position for majority of my pieces here, but this exchange, well, actually, at least simplifies my place. Now my knight is protected with the rook as well as with the pawn, so my queen may be just free to go away somewhere. Should we attack that pawn? I'm not sure, but let's try. Maybe it will force some new weakening or something. Let's just take it. and put the queen in the center. Knight to a5. Where the knight is going, I'm not sure. Let's put our knight on this central position, e5. If knight b3, then rook a to d1. Feels like we are improving our position here, move by move. So let's centralize our pieces. Feels like very natural strategy here. So what should be our plan? Knight to g4, bishop just back to e7. And then d5, or maybe just d5 right now. ed5, rook d5, what is this? Doesn't look very promising. Yeah, I would rather play knight g4 first. And if bishop goes to e7, then maybe d5. ed5, knight takes d5. Still not clear, but at least some pressure. Oh, this is interesting. This gives us a possibility to take there. Is it really good for black? I'm not quite sure. Okay, this doesn't protect b2 because if knight takes b2 anyway. So rook f2 is just a waste of time. Should we play d5 here? Then e5. So what? Maybe it's just fine for black, in fact. So come on, let's pull it together. Knight b2, rook c3, rook takes b7, at least some activity. Yeah, it's probably a better version, but here we have queen takes b7, I think. Let's take that pawn. B takes a3 was definitely bad. But this is also not so cool for white, because e3 was hanging. Yeah, one of the possibilities for black, obviously. If there are any good option for me here in this position, b2 is hanging, so that's a big problem. We play knight e4, then f5. So what? Knight c5. It's attacking absolutely nothing. Black's position looks very solid. It's really hard for me to achieve anything. So let's try to open it. Although I don't believe in the power of this idea, so just trying to do something. Knight takes b2. Okay. Rook takes b2 is very tempting, but I'm not sure there is anything. So let's just continue with the rook lift. If black plays e5 now, I will have some like rook h4. Not necessarily that strong, but at least I'm pretending I'm doing something in this position, creating some threats, right? So targeting e5, so that if black plays f5, let's say I can take it. Okay. Maybe we can continue with the d6 also, exerting further pressure on black's position. Yeah, like this. Maybe it was wrong, just giving black a chance to put the knight on e6. I don't know. Here, I was definitely going to save my rook on the board because it feels active. And what I wanted to do now, just to try knight e4, maybe. So all my pieces are active here, but it's a big question if I can achieve anything because of it. Black is defending well for now. f6 is under attack. Knight g5 just takes. Takes here. This looks great. Takes there. And checkmate on g7. Okay. So, interesting game. I think black was just alright everywhere. And of course, yeah, I know that c4, knight f6 was played just to give me some chances. Because in fact it was, you know, it was not intended. I mean, I wanted to play c3 instead. I just played c4. Typical thing for internet chess. And I think simple knight takes d4 gives black very good position, for sure. Alright, there was a chance for me. I played knight f3, bishop g4, cd5, knight e5, but black is getting very good position here. I mean, I have absolutely nothing here. Absolutely nothing. And I mean, except for problems. Maybe a6 was not really necessary. Just castle, keep that blockading position of the knight on d5, exchange my light square bishop with the bishop g6 only when it is forced, because for now bishop is very good here. Just bring the rook to c8, maybe knight to b4, maybe then simplify at some point, taking on c3 and then bring the knight to d5, so everything was just fine. This position was also good. I mean, nothing dangerous, in fact. But here, I expected something like bishop e7 or maybe bishop g5. I don't think white is having anything there. Even this was good. I mean, after g takes f6, I first thought that it would be a weakening, but appeared that I don't have a clear plan how to attack that pawn. Whenever I start an attack against that pawn f6, black always has f5, so if I play d5, there's always e5. My pawns are vulnerable here, so everything looked good. Here, there were numerous ways to get very decent position. Knight a3 was probably one of them. Knight b2 was also good, I think. For example, takes a3. Extra pawn. Yeah, white probably has some sort of initiative here because of more active pieces. But again, I don't believe it will give white a real compensation or something. I may be wrong, of course, because after e5 and rook d5, we have to calculate concrete lines to make a conclusion here. Who's faster? Because, for example, here I may have something like rook d7 followed by rook f7 followed by queen g6 ideas. And it may be quite dangerous, yeah? After rook d7, I also have a queen g6 threat. So, like, here I have a queen g6 threat. Rook g7, rook h7, another rook to g7 with the checkmate. Black should be careful here. That's what I mean. For example, if black does something like this and takes on e3, then here we go. Checkmate. Yeah? So maybe it was not so clear. In general, I mean, this line ended with a d5 move. So, yeah, but even if you don't force the matters here and just play knight to d6, I think that was absolutely safe. controlling everything in the center. You have slightly better pawn structure, I have a feeling. Yeah, should be positioned with no problems. And then just like king g7, rook h8, everything is protected. If I play something like that, you may play f5, controlling all important squares here. If I play queen h6, let's say, you can just play queen f6, I guess, then queen g7. Yeah, so absolutely safe position here. I mean, if you don't force the matters here. But even the way you played was okay. So the worst thing happened closer to the end of the game when both players were in a time trouble. Okay, so I have a feeling that maybe we can play one more game. What was the next challenge? Okay, here we go. This one will be definitely the last for this episode. c3. All right. Knight to f6 is one of the possibilities here, as far as I remember. And now we just take on d4, play to d5, and undermine e5 next move. All right? All right. This is definitely, certainly an option. Queen to b3. All right. So d takes c5 comes to mind instantly. Is it a good idea? D takes c5. Let's just take and see. We protect the knight with the help of this move. We have an option of giving this check on b4, quickly castling after that. So it looks pretty natural. Bishop goes to b5, okay. Now it's really tempting to give that check, so not even calculating anything additionally. So bishop is protected by both knights, so there is no queen b4 because knight d5 takes b4. Although my knight c6 is pinned, another one is okay. Lots of pins here all around. So just castling now, bishop takes c6, bc6, knight takes c5, attacking c6. Not entirely clear, but we can pin the knight probably. We can also consider something like bishop to a6, quite sharp position there. Yeah, let's try it. I mean, looks interesting. Queen d5, then bishop c3, queen d5, or immediate queen d5, knight on c3 is pinned. All right, now our knight on d5 is protected. We're still a pawn up. So if knight takes c5, bishop to a6, knight takes c6, queen e8. Okay, let's forget about it. White decided not to take the pawn on e5. Maybe it was not the right decision. Now we have to make our decision. So to take on d4 or to take on c3 followed by e4. And it's a hard choice. In one case, we're still a pawn up. On the other hand, the knight on e5 is quite active. Our c6 is under pressure. So on and so forth. After e d4, knight e4, there is the same situation with the c6, but we still have pair of bishops. But I'm not sure we can use it again. If we go back to d6, knight takes c6, queen jumps to h4, there's some like g3 there. No, I don't believe in that. What if we take on c3 with the knight? B takes c3 and just going away with the bishop somewhere. Don't see a good square for that. Oh, maybe we can do the following. Knight takes c3. If queen takes b4, then we have what? Knight e2 check, knight takes d4 at least. If b takes c3, then we have e4. And if knight e5, then bishop d6. Yeah, this line looks at least something. Looks at least something for me. Because, you know, I want to save a pair of bishops on the board. On the other hand, after queen b4, knight e2, check, king h1, knight takes d4, knight e5 is possible, and then knight c2 is possible. Attacking queen on b4 and rook on a1. Yeah, so I guess white should take on c3 here. And now I wanted to try this. Oh, it's completely incorrect. cb4 is possible. Missed that move. So I thought of queen b4, ef3, and then I'm damaging the pawn structure, but cb4 is just okay. No, knight to g5. That's very strange. On the other hand, e4 is attacked, right? That's the point. But we also have some tricks. So bishop d6, knight e4 takes on h2. King h2, queen h4, king g1 takes on e4. Looks like still a pawn up, and we have opposite colored bishops, which means if we start the attack on light squares quickly, we will benefit enormously from it. And there is an option, so we can play bishop e6 and bishop d5, just two moves, to create a checkmating threat. I believe there are also other ideas. Okay, after this move, I think it should be very promising. Especially if queen goes away. Yeah, after bishop d5. It's just over, because if f3, then queen takes e3. Okay. So c4 was the only move. Where after I wanted to try some like f5, followed by f4 maybe. Now it's just lost. Yeah. So, it was an interesting game. I'm not sure if it was possible to improve white's play somewhere closer to the end. Yeah, for example, here, I'm not sure what is going on after 95, for instance. So, I wanted to play this, but I'm not sure if it works. So knight takes c6, queen there, check. Knight goes back to e5. What is this? Position is very complicated. And look, I even have this resource. Look at that. Obviously, I didn't see that. So I thought after queen e8, knight e5, maybe I will have something because king is still in the center. Yeah, the point is I'm having this sort of queen e2 checkmate. Yeah, it's just a one threat, in fact. But it may be very annoying, because if bishop goes here, I'm just taking the knight. Now queen e2 checkmate is here, so queen b5 is forced. We're taking the bishop first, and then we're taking the queen with the extra minor piece, right? If queen goes to c2, let's say, in this position, then we can take here. And after bc3, bishop takes c3. Again, using the fact that e2 should be protected, and if queen takes c3, there is a checkmate. Well, maybe it's good. I don't know. Queen d5, just queen e2, not even taking the queen. Maybe it was dangerous to take that pawn. Have no idea. But a bit later, it was definitely possible to improve white's play. So for example, here, taken with a pawn on b4, I think was okay. So queen takes there, queen takes d4. Black is a pawn up, but pawn structure is not ideal. Almost all pawns are weak. So I don't think I have real chances here. Some like rook b1, let's say. Protecting b4, c6 is still under pressure. Or white is going to occupy this long diagonal after bishop b2. Oh, I don't think black is doing anything specific, achieving anything tangible here, I guess. So, yeah, that was an interesting moment. There was also like knight g5, bishop d6. No, just taking on b4 with the queen, but then e takes f3 definitely damages the pawn structures. So yeah, I think if you wanted to take the bishop, you had to take it with the pawn here. After that move, I'm a pawn up. Yeah, bishop e3 was already a step in the wrong direction. I guess it was much better to play something like f3 here immediately, closing that diagonal for my bishop, and just trying to survive it somehow. Maybe bishop a3 was also an option, followed by rook e1. If I don't play rook e8, I don't know. Bishop b3, okay, it's just a passive position. Bishop has no useful work here, and after queen goes away, and bishop to d5, well, it's over. So here Cobra suggested queen to b1. Was a possibility, obviously, but I think c4 is just a bit better than that. So white is still quite active here, with the pawns at least. There are still some ideas. So it should be okay, more or less. All right, guys. Sorry for stopping the show a bit earlier than usually, but I have to this time. Hopefully next week will bring the harmony and everything will just get back to normal schedule. We will see. I'll do my best to actually continue with training Tuesdays and banters. So wish you all the best, wish you a great weekend, and see you around. Bye bye.